Alright guys, today we're going to be making some pizza. What you're going to need is 2.5 cups of flour, and you're going to want to mix the dry ingredients all within each other. It makes it a lot easier to mix later. So, you will also need 2 teaspoons of sugar, which I have right here. 1 teaspoon. 2 teaspoons. You're going to, this is optional, but you can also put in a half a teaspoon of salt. Sure, it's getting full. There we go. Half teaspoon. And also a tablespoon of garlic powder, which I also like to do. This is optional as well. It just flavors up the dough a bit, makes it taste really good. Okay. Now for the wet ingredients. Well, no, first we're going to have to also put in about either 1 teaspoon of quick rise yeast or 1.25 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Now, because I have active dry yeast, that means I'll have to have 1 1/4 teaspoons of it. 1 teaspoon. Just a little under 1/4 teaspoon, but it really doesn't matter that much. It still rises pretty good. Okay, now for the wet ingredients, you're also going to want 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and 1 cup of warm water. So there's 1 tablespoon, and here is 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the water. And then what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to put the dry ingredients into a mixing bowl. And then the wet ingredients, the 1 cup of warm water and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And now you're going to want to mix it. You can either do it by hand, as I'm going to do, or you can do it in some kind of powered mixer. It'll take a few minutes to do. You should stir it for at least 10 minutes, but usually I just stir it until it feels and looks good. And if the dough feels too wet, you need to add more flour. And if it feels too dry, you should add more water. And the air here is not very humid, so I'm going to add a little extra water. To the dough. I don't know if it's been 10 minutes or not, probably not, but it looks like it's about ready to be. Now I'm going to go get a pan, and it's always good to put a little bit of flour on the bottom of the pan before you dump out the dough. Just spread it around on the pan, just a little bit. And now for it to come out. I made it just a little too wet for it to work with. So when it does that, you just add flour to it. This will dry it up perfectly. First you rub it on, and then when you get to work with it a little bit more, you can work it into the dough itself. And you can just continue doing this for as long as it takes, basically, to get it to feel right in your hands so that it can actually be pliable when you're trying to make it into a ball, you know? Right, now I think it's time to start putting it into a ball. Notice how I'm doing? I'm kind of karate chopping the bottom of it in order to try to get it to form up. And just letting it roll in my hands, right? Then I'm just going to get another bowl to set it in. But first, you're going to want to put a little bit of vegetable oil. For me, I always just put a little bit of vegetable oil in the cap, fill the cap up, and then dump it in. Now what I prefer to do is get it to mix all over. Sometimes I use my hands even in order to get it to coat the entire outside of the outside edges of, or the inside edges, should I say, of the bowl. Because this thing is going to rise a lot. And you don't want it sticking to the bowl when you try to get it out to make a pizza. So as you see what I'm doing, as I move this out of the way, I'm just letting the vegetable oil get onto the inside of the pan here. And now I'm going to go ahead and work this a little bit more. Get it into a good ball. Okay, now we can go ahead and start rolling it back into a ball. As you can see how I'm doing that. And then put it into the bowl. And then you're going to want to find something to put over this. But first, you're going to also want to put a little bit of vegetable oil over top of the ball of dough there. Just put a little over on top in order to keep it from drying out. And just use your hand to just sort of put a little bit of the vegetable oil over top of it. I am going to be using a towel to keep it from drying out and to keep bugs out of it. Now if you're using quick rise, you're going to want to let it set for an hour. If you're using active dry yeast, you're going to want to let it set for 2 hours. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put it over somewhere and wait a couple hours. And it's always good to preheat the oven. A good 20 or so minutes before you start cooking something. It needs to be at 450 degrees by the time it's ready to be put into the oven. So this guy is preheated now. Let's take a look at what the dough itself looks like. It rose quite a bit. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put the dough on a pizza pan. But first, let us get a little bit of the vegetable oil out. Just going to reuse the vegetable oil, no need in getting any more. And I suppose that I could put you back on my little camera stand that I made with a coat hanger, so that you can see what the hell I'm doing. And so I can work with both my hands. So you can just easily spread the... You can do it with a paper towel. It works a lot better, but we don't have any at the moment. But now, to put the dough on the pizza pan. And then you can just spread it out. Now, pizza sauce. Let's take some of this out. Spread it around. You can never really have too much pizza sauce. Oftentimes I put spicy things in the pizza sauce, or red peppers or something, but other people are going to be eating it too, so none of that today. Maybe I'll have it as a topping on my pizza when I grab my own slices. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your toppings on, cheese. And you can add, pretty much anything you want on your pizza. This is just what I'm putting on it for myself. Also, what you can do, you can take a small cup, put a little bit of butter in it, put it in the microwave and melt it. So I'm going to go set this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Alright, I got a little brush thing here. You just slightly and gently brush the butter, the melted butter, onto the crust. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on the crust. And if you'd like, you can use your fingers to spread it out evenly and what have you. And if you want, you can even put Parmesan on the regular part of the pizza as well. And now it's time to put it in the oven. Time to open this thing up. While grabbing the pizza. That's one way you can tell I'm from Michigan. Oop. Throw that pizza right in there. And set the timer for 10 minutes. I'll see you then. And it's almost done. Sweet. Let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, it rose quite a bit. Yummy, yummy. And now we cut it. Off the screen. I'm not holding my camera, sorry. And there you go. My pizza is done. And I sampled a little taste from the things that I cut off of it. And it tastes pretty good. So, yeah.